Thank you very much. So, welcome again, dear students, dear instructors, all participants. So, I'm giving the word to Handan Hocam with the presentation title Design Thinking. Maybe it's much more detailed now because these titles are changing. Thank you very much. Can you introduce yourself with some sentences before you start, Handan Hocam?
Yes, of course.
Thank you. Thank you.
I will first share my document with the... Can you see the presentation?
Yes, we can see. We can see, Handan Hocam.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Sandan Temeltaş. I'm studying at the Industrial Design Department of Bahçeşehir University. Briefly, I have a background marketing, business administration, and industrial design. My undergraduate discipline is marketing with the business administration, and my master and PhD studies are on industrial design, and I interested in craft studies, craft research, new product development, and knowledge sharing while creating the new products, while designing the new products and services. As briefly I can tell myself with these words. I will talk about today design thinking to you. And first I will define some meanings for design thinking, for design ability, and the design process. And with the connection, I will talk about the design thinking process that we will get into deeper next week with our online sessions on Miro with your dear participants. And after that, I will give some methodology examples for how to apply these researches in the beginning of the design thinking. Then I will give some examples of some how the firms or communities reach some goals by using design thinking. And at the end, I will ask some questions. I will put some questions at the center about the future of the world, future of our life, and from these aspects. And first, before talking about design thinking, I think we should turn back to what's design and who is the designer. And at this point, Viktor Papanek, he has a book called Design for the Real World, Human Ecology and Social Change. At this book, the first sentence of this book is like all men, all human or human beings are designers. This meaning that a lecturer of myself when I was a student was saying that every morning when we get up, we at least plan what to wear to on ourselves. So we are planning something else also during the day for cooking, for our professional lives, for our work. So we design our lives, we design our career, and we design maybe our children's lives. So all men are at a point act like the designer, and all that we do almost all the time is design, and it's the basic all human activity for the human if we define the design. And I can say that Viktor Papanek is also known as an advocate of socially and ecologically responsible design of products in vehicles in community infrastructures. And from that point, yes, I said that all human being can act like a designer. Is my voice is coming? Because
yes, hocam. Yes.
Because sometimes the connection goes. So okay, but if we say that all human beings are designers, but if we also should define the design discipline, it has rules, it has process, it's done but by the professional designers and researchers, and there are different type of design disciplines. For instance, the visual communication designers, it's also called graphic designers, and industrial designers, and also called product designers, and fashion designers, interior designers, service designers, and maybe at past 20-25 years, we come across with the UX designers, UI and UX designers. They are all using the similar design processes to create product, services, or sometimes websites and packages, and etc. And if you come to a meaning, a definition of design, International Council of Design defines the design as a discipline of study and practice focused on the interaction between a person, it's mainly a user, and the human-made environment. User and environment is important here because at the industrial design discipline, also when we are designing a product for the user, we should always think about the environment where this user will use this product. This environment, for instance, if you are designing a appliance for the kitchen, you should think the user at the kitchen. So environment is that much important here. And the user and interaction between the environment, also this
Hocam, we cannot hear you. Handan hocam. Your voice is mechanical. Dear Beryl, can you reach Handan hocam? She is at the institution.
Okay, hocam.
Aesthetics, functional, conceptual, cultural. No. Is my voice coming? Is my voice coming?
Handan hocam, now we can hear you, but there was a problem. We missed the last few minutes, I guess.
Maybe the connection in that room
Is my voice coming now?
Right
Yeah.
now we can hear you.
Because I have a meeting before this presentation and the internet was going on, so I'm using my mobile.
Okay.
How is it now?
It's better hocam.
Now I can hear you hocam.
Okay, I'm continuing. Please let me know if okay. I talked about design defining, and when we come to the design thinking, at this point, what's the design thinking? And yes, I applied one. Design is also needs some abilities to learn this process and to apply these step-by-step process, starting from the research and ideation, and then prototyping, and the final product. And product can be your service, or sometimes can be an information that can be used later. So the designer is mainly knowing a person who transfers the existing conditions into preferred ones. These preferred ones is important. Sometimes the designers guide the society to use more sustainable products, more usable products, and sometimes the users need some preferred products or services. This is also come to forth by researching or analyzing the user. Everyone, can you hear me?
Yes hocam. Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
hocam.
Sometimes I ask because I couldn't be sure. Everyone can and does design, and this is the Nigel Cross. He's a well-known design thinking researcher. Everyone can and does design. We all design when we plan for something new to happen. Design also has a potential to come with the new things, new ideas, and it goes into the innovations. It can be a new version of a recipe, new arrangement of a living room furniture, or a new layout of personal web page. They are all the subjects of the design. And everyone is capable of designing. So design thinking is some inherent within the human cognition. And it's the key part of what makes us human, because the design thinking is so related with the planning our lives. And what's design thinking in the main, in a brief? It's a creative problem-solving approach and a way of using designer's toolkit to find ideas and solve problems. And this is the industrial design typical process. It starts with the brief, and our departments, the industrial design students knows very well this process. It starts with the brief. The lecturers also in the companies, the departments, the marketing or the management departments give the brief to the designers to first search the user, search the environment, search the existing products or services, and build a scenario on it. And after that, conceptualizing and ideation parts are coming, and then prototyping and the refinement after testing, implementing the result to the market. But in here, the form of this process is so important, because with the starting point from briefing up to conceptualizing, the ideas are getting wider. So many ideas at the, for instance, our lectures. Students come with many sketches, maybe 20, 30 mock-ups. So many ideas are coming there. But after steps goes to the prototyping, we limit some projects there, some ideas there, because we cannot come to the final refinement point with every research or every idea. So we should limit through its making processes. Then at the end, at the final design, we come with one final design, or sometimes if there is a concept design at the end, maybe 2 or 3 final designs comes to the end. And what the thinking like a designer looks like. Thinking like a designer can transform the way you develop products, services, processes, and even the strategy. And when you think like a designer, it's the design process, also product design process. The point here that I want to focus is at the beginning area, when you are doing the ideation, when you are searching for the ideas, and when you are observing your environment, observing the user, observing the people, human, and can you see that the lines are going front and back, turning back? It's not a straight line as the red one, because when you start to test your ideas or think more on ideas, you can turn back from the to the starting point again. But if you see that after the prototyping and product steps, you don't turn to the before step, not that much as the fuzzy front end steps, because after the, as I talked before, is this one. After prototyping, we eliminate the idea, so we stay there 2 or 3 prototypes. So then when we put our ideas to product, and the line becomes too much straight and it goes to the end. But I would like to add that at the fuzzy front end, it's called fuzzy because at the design, the Horst Ritter, he's the first coined the wicked problems in design. He's a design theorist and professor of the design methodology at the Ulm School of Design, Germany. And he defined the wicked problems. Wicked problems has 10 characteristics, and at the beginning of the ideation, researching, and observation, the user understanding the people for designing them some products. First, every idea, the observation are like too many observation, too many ideas there, and it's like a fuzzy area that is weak, and coming to a final solution seems too hard from that point. Also, design thinking allow the people who use the design thinking that this area is a bit putting all your findings to the table and see what you can do. You can group them, you can eliminate them, but seeing all these findings, all these research results together help the people to see the whole perspective about what you are working on. And about wicked problems, Rita describes 10 characteristics, as I said, and I will briefly tell about that. For instance, there's no way to know your solution is the final. At even the classes, the lectures in industrial design, we said that studios, when a student design a product, it's not the final. We know that also if a designer designs, it's not the final. Every time there can be an improvement after 5 years or after 1 day later. So the solution is not the final. It's not too much exact like the engineering or other departments. And this also gives that, for instance, at your studies for the next week, don't finish your studies like it's my final idea, it's my final study. No, you can add more ideas during the process, and we will see all together to understand the issue better. Solutions to weak problems are not true or false. They can only be good or bad. This is also an important aspect related to design discipline. When you put your ideas on brainstorming, we will do it next week, and also at the mind map, don't think that your idea is true and false. Just it's an encouragement. Maybe that's an encouragement point related to design thinking. And there can be a set of potential solutions to the problem that you interested in. And every problem is unique. So for every problem, unique problem, there can be unique solutions. And as symptom of another problem, every problem can create new problems. And it goes like step by step. And individual perspective, every human, every researcher has their individual subjective perspectives. And related to design thinkings with these weak problems, Richard Buchanan wrote a paper in 1992, Weak Problems in Design Thinking. And design thinking, he said that iterative process is extremely useful in tackling ill-defined, also for weak problems, we used for ill-defined words or unknown problems, reframing the problem in human-centric ways, creating many ideas, for instance, in brainstorming sessions. And for these, after these sessions, the researcher or the human who work with design thinkings can adopt hands-on approach in prototyping and testing spaces. Sorry. Don Norman, he has the grand old man of the user experience. He's well known with his user experience studies, and Don Norman has a group, maybe you heard Norman Nielsen group. They are doing researches for the companies, and they are using the design thinking processes. There are some companies in the world well known with the design thinking process. Norman Nielsen group is one of them. And IDEO, it's a company in Silicon Valley in United States. These are the well-known companies and organizations when we talk about design thinking. He says that learn how to work together and find solutions that's the most appropriate for the people. And it's another point of design thinking that in design thinking groups in IDEO, for instance, people from different disciplines work together. For example, in a design thinking group, in a brainstorming group, there can be business people, marketing people, engineers, and architectures and designers, interior designers, anthropologists, and people working on psychology. They all work together to understand the people, to understand the user, to come with better solutions for make people's life easier or better. And if we look at the history of the design thinking, its design thinking is originated in the 1960s. Bruce Archer systematic method for designers, it was in 1965, was concerned primarily with the systematic process of designing, and it's also expressed need of broadness scope of conventional design, and it was related to incorporate knowledge of ergonomics, cybernetics, marketing, and management science into the design thinking. We can say that it's the first point related to marketing and management science. And after that, at the Stanford University and also at the process, I will refer many information at this presentation to the Stanford University Design Department. The role flows from there. He studied on design thinking as a method of creative action. He puts on the creativity related with the design thinking. And David Kelly, he's founded the design consultancy, as I talked before, IDEO, in 1991. And in 1980s, Brian Lawson wrote the book How Designers Think. Design thinking starts with how designers act and also how designers think. It's mentioned two different aspects related to design thinking. And in 1982, Nigel Cross wrote the article, Designerly Ways of Knowing. Also, knowledge is important here. And in 1987, Peter Rose design thinking book, and as mentioned one or two slides before, Richard Buchanan wrote about the wicked problems in design thinking. And finally, what are the benefits of design thinking before passing the process? It's an early focus on understanding users before putting the result on, starting from the beginning, to focusing on the users, give an advantage to the people, to the researchers, to the companies to early focus and understand the people who they interact with their solutions. And more innovative solutions that better meet user needs. Understanding the user needs also important at this point. And also, one of the benefits of the design thinking, it supports collaboration, because at the groups of the design thinking studies, as I said before, they are coming from different disciplines and work in collaboration. And it gives them experience for the people to work together with themselves and understand their thinking, their behaviors. And I will talk about now design thinking process. It's from the Lisa Norman group, as I talked before, Don Norman's foundation. The design thinking has sometimes 5 or sometimes 6 steps. That at the design thinking classes, they have some lecturing programs, Nielsen Norman group. The first step is that empathize. It's related to understanding the user and develop the this understanding. And the second step is define. It's combine all your research and observe where your user's problem exists. As I said before, in the empathize, you observe, you interview, then I will tell about the methods, how to empathize with the user. Then you define what you found, and then you come with the ideas at the ideate step. Generate a range of creative ideas. Your ideas can be at the idea point, can be crazy, can be the kind of ideas that rarely come to mind, or different from perspective, from the different angles. It's totally normal, and there can be many ideas. There should be many ideas in the ideate process. And after ideate, you should test your products or services. What's the solution for it, or a platform? It can be a platform, it can be a website, and you should prototype it. It can be a working prototype to understand the final product better. Then you test it. At the test also, you use the users, the ones that who will use this product or service, the solution, maybe it can be better. After testing, implementing is like putting the vision into effect, creating a working solution in the environment that will the users use it. And this process goes at this page that goes follows a line, but it doesn't always follows a line. It can be a non-linear design thinking process. In some of the parts, then you can turn back and understand better, and you can pass to the next process. And again, it's graphics from the Institute of Design at Stanford. They have some also papers for, they tell the methodologies to apply these every steps, and gives examples. I put here some of them. So also you can go to the Institute Design at Stanford website, and you can check for more. And we will start with the emphasize. After these steps, I will pass these steps, and I will come some examples. And empathizing is human-centered, related to human-centered design process, because in empathize step, we try to understand, as I told before, the user. We are putting ourselves to the user part, and also we observe the users, understand the people, how and why they do the things, how and why questions are important here, to understand deeper why the people behave or act in their activities, actions. Their physical and also emotional needs are important. If you search on the Google about empathizing, the wellness, well-being keywords are coming next to you. This is also related to emotional needs, and also physical health in some projects, also related with the mental health, and what's meaningful for them. And meaningful can be changed up to culture, up to where you live, up to environment of you. Also, it's the meaningful of life, or what's meaningful to them can change in also their lives. It can be changeable. So you should identify and the cause of their behavior by observing people to reach the innovative solutions. And as I said, that empathizing is so related to the human-centered design process. Don Norman, the website at the bottom, it's his website that you can, it's a foundation organization, and you can also check many documents from here. I basically write 4 basic principles related to human-centered design. I will drink a water, sorry. Human-centered design is mainly focusing on the people, as I said before. It's about solving the core root issues, not just the problem as presented. So for the next week, for your studies, it's not just the focusing point on the problem. You should think about the whole system, the environment, the connection between the environment and people, people and people. You should observe and take into consideration these connections while looking at the whole system. So taking a system point of view gives you, as I said, that see the whole cause and continually test and refine the proposed designs truly meet the needs of the concerns of the people whom they are intended also. And how to empathize? For empathizing, you can observe the people. You can observe the users. And there's a point there. Sometimes what someone says and what he does can be different. You can understand the main thing by observing. For instance, if some questionnaires that we filled out, probably everyone filled out some questionnaires and says that, for example, how many times do you go to the sports center in a month? He says sometimes, yeah, every week I go, or 2 or 3 times in a week, but sometimes we don't go, but we say that we go. And so observing can help you to understand these differences. So looking also what he or she does, what the people does, is better understanding for what they say. And you can do some interview to empathize people, or if interview is too much formal, you can talk with the people, it's conversation, and you can listen the stories of the people related to their lives, a day of time. And why question is important here. Why question? If you ask why questions, you go to deeper meaning. You can remember that children at 5 and 6 ages, they always ask why questions. Mother, why it's like this? Why it's like this? And they learn how their environment works, how people act with the why questions. And at one point, observing is there, and the interview, conversations, and story is there. And also combining 2 of them, using artifacts and environment to talk deeper is also essential, useful to empathize. What's meaning for using artifacts? For instance, you can put an object at the middle of the people, and you can ask to the people that let's talk on this object, or let's talk on this graphic, a photo of the environment. And also it makes the people talk deeper, so you can empathize with these people through an artifact. And if we look to the methods that the Institute of Design at Stanford offers for the empathizing step, for the design thinking, First, this method is what, how, and why questions method. On the photos or images or observing people, if you ask these questions, you understand the action, you understand the people behaviors better. So you can choose a situation at this photo. She's smiling, even though it looks bigger than her. It looks fun. You see the emotions with the act of the people with these questions. And another method is searching for the extreme users, because they are naturally at the deeper level. If you are, for instance, searching recycling or reusing, I don't know, if you are doing a research on it, talking with a person who collects the cardboards from the trash bins or these metal cans, he or she can give you too much information on this aspect. So observing the extreme users and talking to extreme users may give you many ideas and problem finding advantages. And journey map is also another part of the a method for empathizing. Journey map can be a user's day, a map of user's experience, or a map of how product moves through space and time. For instance, you can ask from the user or a person that, what you do in a day? Can you draw with sketches your day with storyboards and timeline at morning what you do, at the evening what you do? Writing these words also makes the user think about his or her time spending. Also gives you many information about the user. And also composite character profile is an example of the empathizing methods. And also in the design and marketing area, it's also known that personas. You write the name of the user, age or work name, or how many kids, the health conditions, and maybe hobbies. There can be hobbies and other definitions. So briefly with the photo, you are giving a brief information about the user. And also at this point, you can put some photos from the social media accounts of these personas. And how to pass from empathizing level to define level. At the empathizing level, we try to understand the user, the human, in very wide range of perspective. And after that, we pick and process all our findings. And from passing from empathizing to defining, we transfer all from your mind to the board, to the table. And we try to make connections between our findings and thoughts. So this step should be in a collaborative. The students, next week, we will do the workshop studies together. And after empathizing, they also work together after empathizing. But passing from empathizing to define is so important with the collaborative works, because everybody will should connect their groups, understanding. They should understand each other, what they observe, what they found, and what can be the connections, because we know that the participations are from different countries, from different cultures. So from different cultures, they should make these connections better. And at defined level, it's like bringing clarity and focus to the design space. And it's about making sense of the widespread information you have gathered. I'm passing a bit fastly because there are some examples. I should show the examples. How to define is important. While defining, you should focus and frames the problem. Inspires your team, and a good point of view should inform the criteria for evaluating competing ideas. And there should be decisions independent in parallel, and hearts and minds of the people you capture, people you meet. And also, a good point of view saves you from the impossible task of the developing concepts that are all things to all people. For instance, your problem statement should be discrete, not broad. It's the defining part is mainly the problem statement point. And at this step, there are some methods as empathy map. How you do the empathy map? You should say here that what are some defining words your user said, and what actions and behaviors did you notice, and what might your user be thinking? What does this tell you about his or her beliefs? You observe the thinking and you come with the statements. What emotions might your subject be feeling? This can be the questions that you can ask through the empathy map. And also, empathy map is a well-known method also using on the mirror. And also, other methodologies are the brainstorming that probably most of you hear about this method. Brainstorming, there are some rules brainstorming. People are coming together to put their ideas on the board. It can be on the table, on the board, or on the screen. And there should be some rules for it. For instance, go for the quantity. There should be many ideas there. There should be headlines. We should group them. And it's better to be visual because our mind is working visual. And staying on topic is important because we are going for quantity. So if we are doing too much quantity, if we go out of the topic, then our brainstorming way is not on the right way. And the other method that I would like to put together with the brainstorming is how might we questions? How might we act differently, or how might we use this solution in a different way? There's a question methodology. After define, to ideate, after problem statement, you will come with the ideas that can be solutions for this problem statement, or it can be also a challenge. That sometimes defining problems can be a negative aspect. Also, defining challenges or defining needs. Needs are not always the negative. You also think about the need of the people. And at the ideate, you generate the idea. You go wide in terms of concepts and outcomes. You create solutions for your users and not simply finding a single best solution. You're not finding a best solution. You're not finding a single solution. You will come with many solutions at the ideate level before prototyping. And in our studies, we won't talk about, we didn't do the prototyping and testing steps. Sorry, we won't do these steps, but I would like to talk a bit briefly after this page. And at the ideate, brainstorming, mind mapping, sketching, and sometimes the collages can be a method to put your ideas, photos. Sketching is important here. Again, brainstorming. You can go on brainstorming because many ideas will come there. The main important thing in the ideation is separating the generation of ideas from evaluation of ideas. You are not evaluating the ideas here. You will do it in the prototype step. You are just generating ideas. So we would like to keep many ideas here to again understand and make the collaboration and understand about what we think about these problems. And the whole process after ideation, we create the prototyping, working prototypes, and let the users use it at the test level. And after test level, implementation comes. It's like production or manufacturing. It's the last, or it can be a website, then finishing the website. It's the last point in here. I will start the cases briefly. And I take these cases from IDEO website, and I will show some also videos here, 3 videos if I can open it. Then I will talk about like 10 questions for the future of the woman and environment. Then I will finish my presentation. It's a Pillback. It's a company and it's a product. I will give one case from education, one case from product, and one from the community to try to give different examples. The Pillback is a company, was founded in 2013 by the Elliot Cohen. It's in America. And IDEO, the company for design thinking, incubated the company and created a product for them. The product is a package that there are some pills in it, and it keeps all them together, and it's there's a time on it, and you know when to use it. So you also take it from the health center and keep it and use it, and it's tearing easily. Instead of using the boxes, you don't mix your pills, and also it gives the information from directly coming from the doctor. There's a video here. I'm not sure if it's opens. Yeah. It's a good example to how they try to understand the user and try to come with a solution that people use. And after this example, there's a community example that called Building a City of Lifelong Learning in South Bend, Indiana. And also I have a video for it. But for this one, I will open it from Google. Probably I could do it that.
Hocam, should we hear it also?
Yes, it's a video.
Okay, because the last video we couldn't hear. It's better. Maybe it's better if you choose the share button and then include computer sound. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Can you see my page?
No, not yet. I can see you, Hocam.
Okay, I'm sharing now. It's screen sharing or the window sharing?
Screen sharing is okay, but on the top, share content include computer sound.
Okay, I opened it now. You will hear.
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see it, Hocam. Yes, thank you.
Now I will play this video. This video is related to how the IDEO created a learning environment for the people who would like to change their lives. So it's a project related to community, and you can look at this video that how they try to understand the users and how they come with the solutions. Please say me that if you hear or not.
I can hear.
I really need to get my GED because being a manager at Taco Bell isn't going to support me and my 2 children, along with trying to afford housing and a car payment and other bills as well.
When I came out of prison, everything was totally different to me. You know, the world is huge. I was hoping maybe to come out into the world and like jump right into this, and no, it didn't happen like that. And so you have to learn everything over again.
My child, he's the light of my life. You know, it's challenging for me because my income is based on a few different things. There's child support, financial aid, and then whatever's left over we use to pay our rent. So I mean, we're not rich by any means, but you know, that's why I'm studying finance, so I can figure out.
I am currently 7 months pregnant, and I have a 5-year-old, which would be 6. I've lived in South Bend my whole life, literally like my whole life. I was born here and raised here. I was a second-year senior actually, and I dropped out. And then I ended up pregnant with my first one, and then I was just kind of like, okay, whatever, and I started job hopping, and I got promoted maybe about almost a year ago to be a manager, so they don't really pay us much, but I mean, a job is a job. What can you do when it's the only job you have?
Cell phones are first
Hocam, it's lagging. Okay, I think Handan Hoca has lost the connection.
Yes, it's because of the room that I'm connecting
Handan
my...
Hocam, okay.
Yes.
If it doesn't function, maybe you can come to my room. I think it's very well in my room.
Wow,
You know where am I?
technology is
Okay. So,
wow.
in the worst
I
case.
might have to catch up with it.
I want to be a consultant, helping people better themselves, better their lives. And I think what's really getting in the way of me doing that is time. I'm lucky if I have enough time to do my homework in the week. I don't really have enough information about the things, the ideas that I want to share with people. So I want to be sure that I'm an expert in my field before I go out and help other people.
Sometimes when we fall, we have to pick ourselves up. And if we can't get up, sometimes we have to ask somebody, can you help me? I don't like handouts, and I try to do things on my own, but sometimes
Life is really all about learning, and even as you get older, there's older people that don't know everything. So, yeah, I feel like you do learn stuff every day.
Okay, so you sing too.
Yeah.
That's great.
Okay. Can you hear me? The connection
Yes, I can
goes
hear
a bit,
you.
but
I can hear you.
yeah, connection goes a bit, but I think you understand what's the point, that people are looking for jobs, but for some reasons they are out of the working environment. So this building a city of learning process is try to tell people, try to teach people. For example, collection by Chang Fry, it's how to start making films on a budget. He gives such a teaching, such a lecture. Or succeeding as an artist in South Bend, she gives a lecture for it. So for the community, they teach each other and they create the jobs. And also for the sustainability criteria that we told during this week presentations. Also, finding a job for the young people is also the point of us. And also the second, the last example is designing a school system. I also take an education example because I didn't want to give all the examples from the products. And the challenge is there, international quality education at an affordable price. And the outcome is teaching strategies, building operations, and these are the early sketches of the classroom experience that I'm showing you, that how they use sketchings. And it's in Peru, so the language is the Peru language. There's also a video from IDEO, but also I'm past the time for the time management. Maybe I can show a little. Then after that, I will pass to the questions. Then I will finish. But maybe for the video, I can briefly show it. These are all examples from the IDEO company, so you can also check the IDEO website for more examples. It's the Innova schools in Peru. They created a program and they take the It's a Gold Award 2015 for the design strategy. Also, they have a video. I will open it for a while, then I can. Also, you can see the process now, how they act, how they take the design thinking into the interaction. Can you hear the music?
Tú no puedes vivir en un país en el cual tienes al 5% de la población que tiene acceso a una educación de calidad y el resto no. Tuve que viajar a las escuelas rurales en el Perú. No tenían los servicios mínimos básicos. Y me convencí de que este país no es sostenible en el largo plazo si no se hace algo radical en el tema educativo.
We realized that this country has been growing for the last 25 years at incredible rates, about 5%, and we're making tremendous progress. But then we also realized that if you look at just basic measurements of how education is moving forward, we've been dead last in the PISA ranking for the same period. Obviously, we're not going to have a bright future unless we correct that.
So a few years, Carlos Rodriguez Pastor gave us a call, and he said, I'm looking to transform my country by designing a new education system. Part of the brief was to make sure that these schools would be international quality, that they would be affordable for the emerging middle class, and they would be scalable to disrupt the country's education system. Part of our design process was to make sure that we understood the people that we were designing for so that we could design a model that was right for them. What we learned was that students really wish to have their imaginations engaged.
From the design of the building to the use of how the curriculum is structured, to how the students interact during the day, they rethought everything from the ground up.
Todo colegio tradicional, el profesor llega a clases, te dicta y tú copias. Acá no. Acá el profesor llega a clases, te explica más a fondo y aprendes.
Over the past 6 years, Innova has grown to 41 schools serving 33,000 students. They're on track to have 70 schools by 2020. Student academic performance has been impressive. In reading, national measures have shown that 88% of Innova's students are on grade level, compared to 61% in other private schools. In math, 61% are on grade level versus the national average of 25%.
Innova Schools is pretty special right now, but 5 years out, I think it'll be even better. As anything that you start from scratch, you learn things, you improve them, and you improve them, and you improve them. And I think that's what's going on right now.
You're going to have many other people hopefully replicate the model of Innova. So Innova's impact won't just be the direct impact on its own students, but on the meta-level impact on students everywhere.
I envision a few years from now, Innova, let's say in a country like Colombia or in Ecuador, in some middle-class family, having a discussion of where to send their kids to school. And the mother says, hey, what about that school where the Peruvians are teaching? Imagine that, from being dead last to being now the teachers of our region.
Okay, I can share it.
Thank you, Hocam.
Now I have like 5 or 6 questions, then I will finish quickly in 5 minutes. Sorry for the next, Hocam.
It's okay for me. Demet Hocam is between us. Demet Hocam, is it a problem for you?
Yes, of course.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I sent the link.
Thank you, hocam.
Okay, I will briefly come to the questions. It's let's do the presentation share. Can you see the presentation share now?
Yes, I can see it.
Yes, IDEA also have big questions about the future of our lives, future of the humans, that I would like to put these questions here because we talked about at this week previous presentations, we talked about the sustainability and using the resources in a good manner and thinking about the future. So there are some big questions of IDEO. They plan their organization on these big questions. So maybe these questions can help the participants to put their efforts next week and to think about these questions. For instance, how might we use the play to take on today's biggest challenges? Applying the principles of play to connect with people at a deeper level, an emotional level, this emotional that captivates, delights, and empowers, and it transforms. The playing tells the children to learn, and also gamification is a well-known area for doing something with the gaming, because this gaming is a better learning way. So we can think about doing something with playing. And the second question is, how might we design traveling and living systems? Design allow us to create circular or regenerative products, services, systems, and provides shared value for the society and environment. And it's too much related with the sustainability and what we do about sustainability while sharing the value for the society and environment. And there's a question related to artificial intelligence. How we can use it in the future, or now we use it, but how we can use it effective in the future, in our cities, in our living environment, working environment, at education, for instance, how we can combine data, design, and machine learning all together to build intelligent products and services. You know, there are some smart homes, smart offices. Maybe there will be smart cities, and we have, and what they will be in the future. And how this design drive new ventures, new companies, and big companies want to behave like startups, because startups has a feasible working environment with less workers, with more mobility. And startups want to scale like big companies. Big companies has more connections and more ventures. And it's time to start thinking like a designers also at this point. And how can we design a better food system for everyone? Because in the environment, our food is not too much. And also in our country, we see that in some the fields for agriculture are changing, getting lower. So building the product solutions and organizations can be needed for the future of the food of the future, and also future of the food. And how will we move people and things in the future? How will be the transportation system in the future? It's a rendering of how London will look in the 2045 by the end scales. And there can be different solutions, and also we should think about it. And how will we personalize the health? Because every individual patient is so individual, so unique, and there are also, we use some applications for our health system and we personalize it. So how this ideas, products, services, experience will be in the future, and how can government be more citizen? It's related with the politics and their bureaucratic systems. It will be accessible to everyone because we pass to the digital life, and maybe some citizens are not centered, not coming to the center at these systems, but how we can make it simple and better used. For instance, how can design advanced learning and education, and also you may think about using design thinking, also use design for education, as I give the example just at the last case. And what makes organizations more creatively competitive? It's today is we are in a fast-changing world, and there are companies, there are organizations, there are leaders, and the human-centered design, the putting human at the center, is more popular and used now. But there can be also different ways to make the human-centered. So it can be an also question to understand and see the future. Thank you for listening. This is my mail address, so you can email me or you can ask questions through this email. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Handan Hocam. Thank you very much. I have to ask the audience, do you have questions?
Yes, I forgot.
Mm-hmm. Dear audience, do you have questions? Or do you prefer to ask the questions later, or do you want to write the questions? Dear participants, or comments, I don't know. Okay. Thank you, Handan Hocam. So
it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. Thank you for all the participations.
Okay, Handan Hocam. See you soon. Okay.
See you soon.
So, dear all, this was a very, very interesting presentation of Handan Hoca. Now we have Demet Hocam here. So Demet Hocam is going to continue with her presentation. Let me read it. It's also a very interesting topic. Building social sustainability through design. Thank you very much, Demet Hocam. So before starting, can you introduce yourself very short?
Oh, okay. I'll try.
Very short, very short. I tried to write you, but I couldn't send a chat message to you. So excuse me.
Oh, is that so? Okay? Sorry.
I don't see you, Hocam.
You don't see me?
No.
Okay, just a sec.
And now the screen is visible, Hocam.
Come on. Okay. I suppose that's due to internet connection, but let's see. So you're also seeing my tab, right? Internet
I
tab.
see a video, Hocam, a YouTube video.
Okay.
Yeah. We can see the tab too.
Sorry?
We can see your tab too.
Okay, it's fine. It's all fine. The thing is, okay, let's start from here then. Okay, now you all see me, right? I actually am looking forward to hear who are for the workshop, and I mean this Nomad campus, the production, and who are. I'm sorry, I am not from Bahçeşehir University. Therefore, it's really hard for me to follow up who are the tutors, who are the participants, and so on.
Okay.
But thanks once more, especially to Sezin Hoca and Murat Hoca for contacting me as well and integrating me as well for this seminar. I actually loved the idea. So congrats for whoever is the inventor or of the project Nomad Campus. So so in fact, when we were having the meeting with okay, first me, sorry Elif Hocam. First me, I am Demet Mutman. I am working at Özyeğin University at Faculty of Design and Architecture in the city of Istanbul again. I had been working for urban design and architecture in this in-between disciplines, but I am educated as an architect and quite, yeah, not, at least let's say not bad in architectural design education, but also urban design education as well. But basically, besides taking part in the educational facilities of universities and etc., that I am usually considering the social sustainability issues, especially through design and small-scale interventions. So it could cover public spaces, it could cover city, I mean, basically the streets and users and etc. So therefore, I am also taking part sometimes in several international workshops and also local workshops. Yeah, I think for for more information that we can always get in touch. Okay. So
Thank you,
let's go
Demet.
on.
Thank you, Demet.
Okay. Yes, you're welcome. And I will try to go on through the topic, but first of all, yeah, I had several questions in mind when I had this introductory meeting. I mean, I was part of this introductory meeting, of course, with all of you, but also Murat Hoca was inviting us to talk about what is the main mission. So that Nomad Campus and basically talking about all these especially with the fundamentals of the campus or of the idea of the dream of this project was quite important for me, and especially with this interdisciplinary, intercultural, sustainable design in everyday life, as you mentioned in your PDF brochure, which was crucial. It was always crucial for me as well. So I know some of you are already in the city of Istanbul, or you are somehow getting some knowledge about the city, the cityscape, and etc. But for the ones who are not from here and who haven't even, like, you know, at least due to pandemics and now this inflation and etc., that, like, you know, traveling might be a bit hard, but still there, I mean, the videos and online sharings are always helpful for this this form of educational facilities. So let me first start with where we are. Therefore, I am going to share now a screen with this video. Now you see the video, right? But no, sorry. First, yeah, include computer sound and the video. Okay, so now we are living in a city. I'm just, you know, muting the sound. We are living in a city which is as large as this, but like, and it's quite beautiful as well. It has this Bosphorus view. Of course, it's quite, I mean, moving, isn't it? Like, you know, you have this waterfront, but it's also massive. It has nearly 20 million population. So the city is not only its geographical conditions and not only composed of the topography, the water, the seaside, the leftover green spaces and etc. And it's not about this beautiful weather. I mean, believe me that we have really some rainy and windy weather, so which are really sometimes hard. But we also have these citizens that who are enjoying, of course. Oops, sorry. now let's skip this one. Okay, we also have these advertisements. Of course, we have to skip this one. Okay, but like, you know, we have different forms of citizens. So not only human beings, but animals and etc. But like, you know, the city is huge, huge and expanding. Nobody can stop it. So how to move on and how to be visible, or have a right to say within this such large environment and such large context, and to have rights in decision making is quite struggling. It's actually struggling for most of cities. So when we're talking about cities, it's not really easy to build within a city. I mean, as an architect, of course, I mean, me as an architect, some of you, I know that you are not educated as architects or designers, but necessarily that you would already have an idea that somebody is actually doing those things, drawing those designs and implementing the issues and, like, you know, in cities. However, designing for someone, let's say, or for some function is always a top-down activity. It's like a war within a built environment. It always have, like, you know, it contains a strategy. It needs its own functions. It needs the users, or it needs a location where to implement. So that strategy is, however, forcing the designers to think as if they are God. So that's quite interesting. And when on the other hand, when we're talking about sustainability, and I know that you have all gone through the sustainability presentations and etc. I can see that Sena is nodding. So obviously, all these presentations are not talking about designing for someone from a God's perspective, but they are all talking about, okay, the community, the people, environment, energy, and economy, and okay, but nobody was actually thinking all those issues while designing, especially, like, you know, in architectural design studios, for instance. Have you heard, at least I am asking these questions to my fellows, like, you know, have you heard anyone, you know, discussing about urban economy or materials? Like, you know, materials maybe, but, like, you know, economy of materials and construction is really less. So let's start with the presentation now. I will have several videos and etc. Therefore, I am including the sound. But now, can you see the title of the presentation?
Yes, Hocam.
Okay, thank you. So, okay, the title is Building Social Sustainability. I'm not talking about sustainability, but, like, you know, especially about social sustainability and through design, if that is even possible. So we will search for the capacity of design and capacity of architecture, basically, as a tool. So we are not makers, we are not actually the main actors within this issue, but we are actually becoming a tool. So that's quite interesting, because architecture is always art or practice of designing, constructing buildings. It's a complex issue. And as I told you before, it's all about strategy. It's about designing a long-term overall aim, a plan. Imagine that it's a military activity, it's a plan. But basically, what I will be talking about will be non-provocative strategies of design, not defense. Yeah, this is Corbusier's hand. Like, some of you might actually have seen this photograph before. And he is actually, Corbusier is a very well-known architect, actually not educated as an architect, but designer, let's say. And to play in scale the viewer's dominance, he is manipulating the city. He is actually manipulating the whole system back then when he was proposing a new system. It's like a new system, new operating system back in 1950s, not 1920s, actually, right after First World War. And after the Second World War, everything needed a change, a huge change, as you all know. I'm not going to go into this urban history issues, no worries, but it's mostly about large-scale implementations, large-scale decisions. It's all about the region, the city. It's about politics. It's about urban economy. So this strategic spatial planning, let's say, is transformative, of course, but although that its tendency is to integrate the public sector, it's really, according to the timeline, different timelines, it actually identifies or gathers several major actors, but sometimes forgetting some others. So when we are, I'm not going to read those things, don't worry, but basically imagine an Olympic Park in London or in CVU or in a title as European Capital of Culture. Who decides who is getting the Capital of Culture title, for instance? Have you heard anything about it? No? Have you heard about the European Capital of Culture title? Istanbul got one once. Actually, it started with Athens.
It's a question to ask, yes, for sure.
Yeah, so yeah, of course, okay, of course you have heard, but with the participants, I'm just trying to understand if they are also realizing that who is designing basically the design, or who is deciding the design, what to do, who is doing what, and etc. So basically, it's definitely not the designers at all. Politics is designing everything. They are giving the strategies and actually the knowledge, the implementation tactics, let's say. All the discourse is already given. So all you have to do is design. Basically draw. So that is what we have all seen, all about urban transformation. Mostly about economy, sometimes about the society, but also having a direct impact on the environment. But what about the sustainability? Okay. Merging these two leads into, of course, different aspects of rehabilitation. Like, for instance, this is a screenshot from, actually, it's a photograph from Süleymaniye. It's a historical neighborhood in the old town in Istanbul, in the city of Istanbul. It's from one of the streets, Ayrancı Street. Maybe some of you have seen. It's like it's a very old historical neighborhood and rehabilitated, through urban rehabilitation. Or what about renewal? Another example, two examples from the city of Istanbul again. One is from Sulukule, again from the historic neighborhood. It used to be a very lively, full of music neighborhood, and now that it's completely, let's say, there's a huge tabula rasa implementation, which is connotated with the renewal, which means that clearing everything and then building a new, but copying or imitating some of the pieces from history. It's like, stage construction. Or what we have is redevelopment. Redevelopment, projects are quite worldwide known projects. For instance, again, in another region in Fatih region, actually. This is Central Istanbul, for example. There's a huge also university campus within. But what to do with, for instance, urban regeneration issue? When we come to, especially in 1990s, urban regeneration, the terminology started to get a sort of a focus from scholars and from city makers and etc. And they realized that integrating the society as well as the physical and economic actors were quite important. Rather than forgetting or keeping one out, it was quite interesting to see, because they suddenly realized that they forgot the community. So when we are, over there, that there is a sort of realization of, okay, the society is there, the soul has forgotten before, and now let's create some empathy. So it's quite interesting that when we look at the Ngram Weaver, have you seen this Google's Ngram Weaver? It's quite interesting to realize that right after, especially with 1960s onwards, but there's a huge peak in 1990s onwards, that the word empathy has been used in books enormously. It's like, there's a huge peak, but what is it? It's the ability to understand and share feelings of another, okay? But and how do we, why do we need it as designers? In cities, for instance, or in design, why do we need this term? It's obviously all about being together rather than singular, figures. It's all about sensitivity, and it's all about awareness, and it's all about small scale. So getting more into smaller in action, more into interventions, touching to the ground, hands-on, talking, communication, moderation, and it's all about us rather than I. So that's what I will be talking about. Most of the time you have heard, maybe you have heard about space, place, context, relationship, the society, the interventions, but the thing that I am trying to say is the small scale spatial interventions are innovative method. It's called, maybe you heard about urban acupuncture, tactical urbanism, do it yourself, guerrilla urbanism, urban catalysts, anything that you might actually heard of from. I know that there are several participants from Germany that most of the time that they are doing these kind of small scale interventions in order to catalyze a larger urban transformation with public, with participation and collaboration. So it's a new strategy, but actually it's always there, but small scale interventions are always tactics, are always giving more energy to the implementation or to the design itself. So thanks to Handan Hoca, we have already seen several examples of how to get involved in projects and how to hear people. Cellula Urbana is one of those projects, actually. Shall I? Okay, no. Let me explain briefly about the project. Project actors are actually the municipality plus the Bauhaus Dessau Foundation and the community itself from Jacarezinho. And actually, it's a very interesting site that I am talking about. It's in Rio, and it's a slum neighborhood. And it's hard for the municipality to get into the slum in order to upgrade the environment or get to know the people, because it's not secure for them to enter. So there's a huge separation between communities within a city. Therefore, they needed, I mean, the municipality needed a mediator to get into the site and learn for them in order to upgrade the social and economic conditions of the society while being there for serving them. So in Latin America, most of the time, this left-wing activities are visible, that like, left-wing social implementation or spatial implementations are quite visible. Yeah, of course, they would have higher targets at the end, but what is quite important for me is to have that small-scale intervention implementation within. So what I'm talking about is the Bauhaus Dessau Foundation had been there and started talking with people. How did they do it? With small-scale artistic interventions. So it's not about design at all. It's just by talking. It's by social media. It's by playing. It's by creating festival-like activities and just integrating the society to ask what they need, to ask how do they live, and to learn. So talking and communication is a hands-on practice. It's all about commons, and I will talk about commons in here. This engagement with locals has brought the Bauhaus Dessau Foundation into a position that they needed to implement a community house within the neighborhood where kids could learn. Actually, this is a very old project. It's from 2000, in between 2000 and 2004, where they could learn how to use computer. So computer skills was necessity for, seems to be a necessity for kids back then, or learning, how to read and write, or earning some money from, by doing things, by producing things together. So there was a small scale bakery underground. So the building you see here is actually the design designed to get implemented in on site over there. And let me shift into, for instance, okay, let's see, to the video where we can actually hear it from them.
O projeto Célula Urbana, aqui no Jacarezinho, ele foi pensado para a gente criar um espaço que pudesse ser multiuso, ou seja, pudesse ter atividades diversas, principalmente de desenvolvimento econômico e social, atividades de cultura, educativas, lazer, enfim, uma multiplicidade de atividades que dessem uma pluralidade às necessidades do Jacarezinho, que representa uma cidade médio porte, porque ela tem 60 mil moradores. É um universo muito grande. A primeira ideia que apareceu, então, foi o café internet, que foi feito fora daqui, porque o prédio não estava pronto. E a ideia inicial do café internet era justamente como integrar uma comunidade ao mundo da informática.
Quando começou a surgir aqui no Brasil acesso à internet, não tinha dentro de comunidades. Então veio essa primeira ideia com a parceria com a prefeitura, que eles doaram 4 computadores, e como eu já era educador dentro da comunidade, dava aula de informática, eu fui chamado para administrar essa sala, que seria o café internet. E no início começamos a trabalhar, som autossustentável, acesso às crianças. Desde o início oferecemos 20 acessos gratuitos para as crianças da comunidade, e o trabalho foi crescendo. Hoje nós temos uma faixa de 22 computadores aqui no Café Internet, e a coisa foi evoluindo.
Atualmente a prefeitura fornece o espaço e energia elétrica e telefonia. Então é um projeto altamente sustentável, né? Porque ele vai fazer 5 anos agora. E também é um projeto que coloca a perspectiva de política social na comunidade num outro nível. É evidente que nós não faríamos nunca um café internet isolado de outras atividades.
Capoeira, inglês, espanhol, turismo e cidadania, aula de música, violão e cavaquinho, e artesanato. Tá? Agora, nós temos outras atividades também que são propostas da comunidade e que utilizam o espaço, né? Que é aula de Blake, né? Que são outras atividades, como aula de teclado, né? Que as pessoas utilizam o espaço. A parceria da Célula Urbana com a ONG é um trabalho que vem sendo desenvolvido há cerca de 2 anos, né? Célula Urbana e ONG Novo Horizonte, numa proposta de desenvolver algumas atividades culturais aqui no Jacarezinho, né? Mas assim, eu percebo que, né, ao longo desse tempo, o que se tornou importante, o principal aqui na comunidade Jacarezinho junto à Célula Urbana, seria o fortalecimento da identidade cultural da comunidade do Jacarezinho, né?
No começo, a comunidade não estava entendendo muito bem, porque era uma novidade, né? Um prédio desse aqui dentro, né? E eles nem acreditavam muito que um trabalho desse dentro da própria comunidade. E aí viemos fazendo um trabalho que veio uma instituição, que é a ONG Novo Horizonte, substituiu uma outra. E aí começou a fazer várias integrações, né? Trazer os movimentos comunitários, outros segmentos da comunidade que atuam aqui e orientando, e todos eles, acabou fazendo a integração. Hoje o trabalho está todo vapor.
Hoje, enquanto projeto, né, aqui dentro circulam cerca de 10 mil pessoas mês. Quer dizer, hoje o que nós tínhamos pensado, nós queremos uma referência importante para a comunidade, a Célula Urbana hoje é referencial. Né? Tem, por exemplo, é importante a pluralidade de parcerias que se tem com as ONGs, com os governos federal e estadual, parceria com empresa privada, o encaminhamento de alunos para a universidade, conseguir bolsas de estudo em universidades. Por que a gente chamou de célula, né? Nós pensamos, a célula é uma coisa que deve se multiplicar. E realmente o que eu fiquei mais feliz assim é porque a célula gerou um outro projeto altamente social, que é a escolinha, por iniciativa da comunidade, né? Mas ela foi gerada dentro do Café Internet. Então, não é aquela visão pura e simplesmente de dar um acesso às pessoas da comunidade ao computador, à informática, para jogos, para lazer, para divertimento. Não é isso. É abrir uma perspectiva maior de integração social. Esse é o papel mais importante.
So construction of hope and opportunities for people's minds actually is what I keep calling this, but like, you know, there's obviously through the cell that they call cellula urbana, there is this mushroom effect of the cell, obviously, which is reflected already to other cities and other slums in Latin America. Like you could also hear things from not from Rio, but yeah, from other cities, from Caracas as well, and I mean, plenty of Latin American cities are following similar activities and integrating with the society and asking them how to build and how to construct. So in here, what is quite important and essential is engagement with locals, as well as this with the global actors, of course, but like, you know, with multiple actors and sectors coming together. But it's not about their mindset. It's not about their targets and the, I mean, not top-down approach targets, but it's all about actually creating an opportunity for everyone, or at least more horizontal aspect of equity or distribution of rights would also be a part of a discussion as well. So so let's go on. Maybe some of the participants from Germany have heard this project already. This is also from the Bauhaus Dessau Foundation. Actually, I don't know if they have heard about the project Lutherstadt Eisleben, Germany's project. Actually, this is the Luther Trail. It's Eisleben is a very small town in eastern part of Germany. It's a shrinking town with elder population and etc. But basically, what is important was there was a huge of course political decision of what to do and how to move on with the shrinkage problem of cities and towns especially in Eastern Germany. So that was a major motive for the state and for the federal government. So therefore, Shrinking Cities exhibition from IBA was a very successful actually project and research project. There were plenty of artistic interventions, plenty of conceptual developments offered for what to do with leftover buildings, what to do with leftover or underused urban topographies or plots, and what to do with or how to move on with shrinking towns in order to motivate the citizens, but also keep it on track for their own urban economy. Again, the Bauhaus Dessau Stadtumbau project participants with the city council and the community of Eisleben, they just started to do several workshops. First of all, of course, with this basic urban design analysis or architectural analysis that they were doing is what is existing, is looking for what is there and looking for the potentials. I'm not asking for look what is missing, but look what is there. Look for the potentials or try to see the potentials. The potentials of the site was obviously showing the power of Lutheran Germany, but also the power of Lutheran history of the area. So, and afterwards, they were just connecting the dots in order to create a very small scale trail, a track. So where they could, where people would come to visit. It's also, actually the city is also part of UNESCO World Heritage. It's a heritage site. So so whenever a tourists, group of tourists arrive, or citizens would like to enjoy this facility, that when they go from one point to another, one location to another, that they could actually start hearing or learning about the power of this potential. Or for instance, there was small scale or larger scale exhibition points with speaking parts, speaking gardens, for instance. It was an artistic implementation that I showed in here. The conceptual drawing is this one. The conceptual drawing lead into an exact trail of a speaking garden in here, where people could lean into and hear about several speeches, or about the Lutheran history of town. Or some infill projects were implemented in order to fill the gaps. And this was part of workshops and city council activities with the community and the works of the Dessau Foundation, the Bauhaus Dessau Foundation. However, it was, of course, creating a potential from the existing environment in order to regenerate the whole environment with new additions, but preserving the potential of the existing context. So that was a very nice example, a small scale example of implementation of design, the power of design, but also power of participation. I'm not going to show a video on this one, but I am going on with another example. I'm sure that you have heard about New York's High Line. It's like, it's having such a power, but it was 1999 when they started first with the workshops. Friends of High Line, they realized that there is a leftover rail pathway. So this railway, but it turned to be a pathway for for the citizens who were living in that community, in that neighborhood, for walking and etc., because the green was taking over the site and etc. So what to do? So basically, the very first initiation in here is quite different than the previous two examples. The very first initiation came out from two citizens who come together voluntarily within the neighborhood and said that, okay, no, we can save this railway and we can transform it into something which would be more beneficial for the public, rather than distorting it, or rather than clearing the site for new facilities. However, today, of course, the real condition today reflected somehow into another position where the very near surrounding of the High Line is actually pumped with Star Architect's implementations, but still the very beginning of the project was quite effective and powerful, I have to say, because the decision of creating this location as a park was the decision of the neighborhood. After several workshops, community workshops, and searching meetings. In Turkish we have we call it arama toplantısı. It's like they're searching of what to do here. What is the potential of this location? What do you want to see in this neighborhood, and how to use this neighborhood or this specific location? And most of the kids and the users of and also the grown-ups were saying that this location should convert it into a park, a green space where they could breathe within the hustle and bustle of New York. So it was quite powerful decision, and the city of New York agreed with the decision. Afterwards, there was a competition announced, and then the project was implemented according to the decisions of the community. So that's a very, very good start, or very nice starting of a bottom-up approach for a project, I have to say. Another small scale, started as a small scale initiative project was Skateistan, Afghanistan. Actually, the one which was located in the city of Kabul in Afghanistan was the very first Skateistan project. Have you heard of Skateistan before? No,
quite
okay.
Sure.
Sorry?
I'm quite sure that we heard about that before.
Okay. Okay, so that's great. Can I at least show the video for the ones who didn't see it before? There is a very short movie about what it means to live in a war-torn city. Actually, some of us might actually have an idea of what it means to live in a war-torn city, but to lose all the hopes is quite powerful. Anyway, let's go on.
Butoimo, sono butoimo saika, sono poemo saika, sono skate saika. यो फकर कदम के दो महीना को काफी बुतशon, और बसा, इधर ओलिमेरन यो बाला में शामिल है, मैं चास बंदी.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nomad Mirza. دیگه 17 ساله هستم. در کابل خیرخانه زندگی میکنیم. سری خوشبخارا. نمی چهارکار رو میدیم. در مرجعی که بدیم 24 ساعت جنگ بود. حالا ما بیخی عادی شده به ما دیگه. که این مثالش میام فشار میشه ما خود جای گرفتن میدونیم که مثالش عجیب بگذاریم. اینو می روز از این تا آمدن میرن من حال بیخی عادی شدم. موترشوی میگه خودم در زمستان بسیار سخت بود. وقتی که خود موتر میشتم یخ میگرفتش. یکی بار که بود دستم وقت پوستک میداد. بسیار دیگه زندگی بسیار سخت بود تو وقت. حالا دیگه خودم اسکیت میزنم دیگه کار میکنیم خود اسکیت پارک پاک میکنیم دیگه سازی هم میکنیم. نه بیخی دیگه عادت کردم اسکیت نزنم حتی این مرین شد. حالا در مجموع دیگه زندگی کردن در کابل بسیار مشکل است. دیگه بسیار خوش هستیم که این شما بوده که ما را در این قرار راهنمایی کرده که ما تا چی رسیدیم.
My name is Shana Nolan and I'm here managing Kabul's first skate park and the Skaterstan program. Skateboarding's a fantastic way to get kids to communicate with each other and build relationships with each other. The main focus of Skaterstan is to build kids' confidence and give them a voice. Skaterstan's becoming a bit of a hub of female sporting activity, which is very exciting. There's nothing like watching an Afghan woman roll down a ramp for the first time and she's achieved something that she never thought she would.
نامم فضیله است. 12 ساله هستم و در قلعه زمانخان ما در سر کار میکردم، ساج فروشی میکردم. زندگی خوب تیر میشه، از ما خوب تیر نمیشه به خاطر که ما بسیار غریب هستیم و نمیتوانیم که در خانه که یک چیز بخوریم. وقتی که اسکیتستان میام برم هر چیز میتوانم، احساس خوشی میتم. فکر خراب میکنن، میگه با دختر اسکیت چی؟ میگه شما چرا فامیلم کدام رضایت دارن، میگه برو اسکیت کو. یک پدرم میگه که اسکیت نکو. وقتی که ما در پیش سرک یا در جای سیاپوب اسکیت میکنیم مردم های دیگه فکر میکنن که با دختر اسکیت چی. من بسیار اسکیت خوش دارم، علاقمند هستم. من در قصه و کلانه نیستم که هر گپ بگویم.
وقت طالبان دیگه بسیار مشکل بود. آرامی بود وضع بیخی خراب بود دیگه. امنیت دیگه باید نبود. زندگی بسیار مشکل بود. باید دستکی کنیم وطن آباد کنیم. باید حالا خوشمانه موقت.
we really believe that if these children are going to inherit the problems that they will, it's important to show them new qualities of what it takes to be a leader.
آرزوی من این است که یک آدمی بشینه که بسیار آرامی باشه در وطن. تا وقتی که ما صلح نداشته باشیم آینده ما نامعلوم است.
The heartbreaking portion of this movie is the story has ended. I mean, the one in Kabul, they had to stop or actually suspend their activities due to war. After 2009, after they started and opened up their first school in Kabul, they had to sustain their activities in August 2021 last year due to the tension ongoing on that local context. However, another issue was quite powerful in this project, because let me go on with sharing. Because in 2007, the two skateboarders they just went. They were doing this huge Middle East tour and stop over Kabul, and it was all there was a huge tension over there, war-torn environment still. Sometimes more controlled, sometimes uncontrolled, mostly uncontrolled though. But these two tourists of two skaters was getting too much attention from kids, from young generation in streets due to their skates. So they decided staying there. They lived there, and then there was this huge campaign spread around from friend to friend, and they chipped in with monies, with donations, and then they started. First, they started teaching these kids how to skate, so they bought skates, and there were donations for buying more skates and implementing a skate park. And the final photograph, for instance, is the very first skate park that they have done. It was a very small scale, circular stage, in fact. And then they transformed a leftover space into a skate school with the help of the skaters community. Mostly but these donations were helping them a lot. Besides the design, actually design is never thought in the beginning, isn't it? So Architecture for Humanity is another group of activists who are designing for such issues, for instance, like, who are helping out to collaborate with the local context, and then implement this designs for the local context. And then they actually took responsibility in implementing the project on site. In 2009, they opened up their skate school, internationally announced, but in those 2 years in between that they actually do work on site, hands-on engagement. And then another issue is quite important in here, because sports, as well as music, or as well as teaching facilities, they're all neutral activities within the huge buzz of the reality. So
Excuse me, shall we all log out and log in again?
Koli bulmam lazım aşağıdan. Montlarımı, botlarımı kolileyeceğim.
I also can't hear anything.
What's happened?
I don't know. A lot of participants failed the connection.
Me too. I lost the connection.
Me also. So
Yeah,
I'm
it's
already
general.
in contact.
Oh,
Okay,
general,
I'm
okay.
already in contact with Demet Hocam, so she will join again and continue her presentation. Yes, please wait because Demet Hoca will join us soon. Okay, maybe in the meanwhile, for the recording, I can give some information. You are going to get a message via MS Teams at the end of the session. But from Monday on, we are going to work in our MS Teams Nomad Campus class. So that means the link will be available for us whenever we need, but we are concentrating our work then within our MS Teams class. Okay, Demet Hocam is here.
Okay. Sorry. Where did I lose all of you?
This is not just you, Hocam. We also lost connections. Some of us.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It was with the kids at the school, and you showed that picture and the film, and afterwards you showed those kids on the round circle, and then it stopped.
Ooh,
somewhere.
Okay. No, and then I was even going on to another project. Okay, now. Thank you, Tanya. Sorry, now I have to share once more.
Hocam, before the messages start, may I ask a question? Are you sharing your screen or do you open your camera? Because I'm not seeing nothing.
Yeah, I didn't share anything yet. I stopped sharing.
And your cameras is also off, isn't it?
No, the camera is on. We can see Demet Hocam.
Okay, I'm just asked about that too. Sorry for that. It's my problem, I believe. Okay.
Okay. So, oops. So I said, okay, I was talking about these photographs, yeah, right, Tanya?
Yes, and then Highline started.
Oh, okay. But did you watch the Skatistan movie? Yes, right?
Yes,
Hocam. Okay. So basically, the power of this. I mean, I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself once more, but for the ones who got lost within this cyberspace with me, sorry for this doubling. But basically, like Skatistan is. I said that. Even though that they started in Afghanistan, now that they're suspending their activities in Kabul, but their activities are ongoing in Jordan, Cambodia, and South Africa right now, which is showing the power of this mushroom effect of this multiples of the cell, that where they are actually providing a neutral activity in order to construct the power of the local community first. So in terms of finding new ways or new and alternative ways of interaction and communication, so to build the society is a necessity. Afterwards comes the space, and our role as designers are, of course, takes place over that location. But the very first step means it contains the collaboration and participation of everyone over there to hear each and every voice. Let me start with another example, the final example from Music for Peace. I'm sorry for expanding my time again, because due to this connection issues. Oops, okay. And now hope the video will work.
Her şey müzik tutkunu bir vizyonerin, mimar Mehmet Selim Baki'nin hayali için ilk adımı atmasıyla başladı. Eşi, akademisyen Yeliz Baki'nin de tüm zamanını verdiği Barış İçin Müzik projesini hayata geçirdiğinde yıl 2005'ti. Amacı tüm çocuklara sanata katılma hakkını sağlamaktı. Bu yolda seçtiği müzik, bir sanat formu olmanın ötesinde birlik, dayanışma ve uyum demekti. Çocuklara bu değerleri müzik aracılığıyla yaşatmak, uyuşmazlıkların karşısına anlayışı, ortak bir hedefe doğru birlikte hareket etmeyi ve en büyük amaç olan barışı koymak demekti. 2011'de Barış İçin Müzik Vakfı adıyla kurumsallaşan proje, daha çok çocuğa ulaşabilmek için 2015'te çalışmalarını ülke çapına yayma kararı aldı. İzleyen yıllar, Adalar, Bursa ve İzmir'de kurduğu işbirlikleriyle benzer projeleri başlattı. Bugün bu çalışmalar Türkiye'nin 4 farklı noktasında sürüyor. Boş dersliklerde yaratılan küçük zamanlarla başlayan bu barış projesi, bugüne kadar 6500'e yakın çocuğun yaşamına dokundu. Barış için müzik bugün coşkuyla, hevesle ve sevgiyle müzik yapan bir orkestralar ve korolar sistemi. Kuruluşundan bu yana dokunduğu her çocukla büyüyen, büyüdükçe daha çok çocuğa dokunan bir kardeşlik ortamı Barış için müzik. Yetişen çocuklarımızın bazıları profesyonel müzisyen olacak. Bazıları belki hayatta kendine başka yollar çizecek. Ama kazandıkları birliktelik, uyum ve dayanışma ruhuyla müziğin birleştirici gücünü hep içlerinde taşıyacaklarını umuyoruz. Siz de bu barış yolculuğunda bizimle yürümek isterseniz www.barışiçinmuzik.org adresinden çalışmalarımıza destek olabilirsiniz. Şimdi biz susalım, müzik konuşsun.
Now, okay, I'm not planning to end my session with this nice music. Unfortunately, I have to also speak about the project. But to give them a voice that we heard, I mean, this sentence we have heard in Skateistan project's video, actually. But to give them a voice was also the motto of Barış için Müzik, the Music for Peace team. The project started with one man, yeah, okay. It's not a collaborative issue. It's not a bottom-up, I mean, it's partially a bottom-up approach. However, a person who is devoting all his savings for kids. It's such a huge-hearted activity though. And in city of Istanbul, Edirnekapı, the neighborhood is actually a very, very old historic neighborhood. And the society, the community who are living in the neighborhood are mostly deprived, I mean, mostly socially or economically, they're not in, yeah, how to say that? Yeah, in low conditions, let's say, I mean, especially in economic conditions are quite poor. So, but the situation with the kids was quite powerful over there, especially with the music. Whoever was hearing the music, they wanted to join the school. But there was no school first. First, there were these primary schools. Let me share again my screen. Sorry, I keep stopping that screen share, but first there was this neighborhood, actually. Yeah, people were trying to survive somehow within this daily activities and practices, and kids were going to school and etc. And then Mehmet Selim Baki, the hero architect, I have to say that, you know, I mean, basically, yes, I am promoting him right now, but the actor, he just went on by knocking each and every door of the primary schools on site in the neighborhood and asked permission if he could transform the form or an underused storage area or basement floors for music classes. It's a state, I mean, each and every state primary school, state-owned primary school, they said that, okay, yeah, I mean, we're not having any budget for that. If you're willing to do it, why not? And they get the permissions from Fatih municipality, and the basements were converted into music schools for free for the kids. The only admission criteria was for kids to have good grades from their classes. So each and every kid who are willing to join the music, they started working harder for their other courses. So it was a catalyst activity, though. It was catalyzing, obviously, their academic performance. But on the other hand, since it's a half-day primary school, the other half-day, the kids were spending their time. They started spending their more times in this Music for Peace activity spaces, let's say. And then this is actually one of the very first area that where they started the music school. It's a basement floor of a former primary school. It's a existing primary school, but a former storage, but like, you know, a new music school right now. And then after implementing 4 different transformation of basements in an existing context, they bought this land, this plot, and build their music school. So the building that you have already seen in the video is actually the implemented version of the music school, which lived till the end of 2021. Due to pandemics and economic conditions that they also suspended unfortunately they suspended the school activity within their very first area. However, if the activities are already expanded out of their own borders. So it's, as we have heard in the video, it's in Bursa right now. It's in another city. I mean, many other cities are getting tutors from Music for Peace team and teaching the techniques for small, for young kids, for small scale music activities. So this is actually a very, very interesting project from the city of Istanbul, where a bottom-up approach popped up and creating, I mean, it's not only providing an upgraded urban environment, but it's also providing social sustainability, at least, I mean, within the features of sustainability, it's providing hope and constructing new opportunities for kids. So it means it's not about a physical implementation only, but it's all about everything for the future, for the kids' well-being, for the family's well-being, for the neighborhoods, developments, and etc. So one building or one transformation of a space from a storage to a music activity space just became a catalyst for way more than we could imagine. So what I did talk was about potentials. It's not about tourism. It's not about urban economy. It's not about, you know, how to gain more or how to achieve our urban targets, but it's all about empowerment of locals through design and increasing quality of space on site and preservation of the potentials, or seeing the potentials, playing with the potentials and seeing the potentials of actors and defining their roles and defining their ownerships. So if a person owns a project, owns an initiation, they look forward to make it live. So it's all about the commons. Therefore, I think that this sustainability in urban transformation, basically the politics of urban transformation, creates a very important tool right now. And I would like to thank you all for listening, and yeah, hopefully you enjoyed.
So Demet Hocam, thank you very much for your presentation. It was quite interesting. So dear participants, do you have questions? Do you have comments?
Thank you, Demet Hocam. There is no question, but that was so valuable for us. Thank you.
I thank you as well.
I would like to thank you because the examples were so pregnant. How do you say? I want to say you can remember well, but pregnant, it's in German. It means something like you will ever remember.
Significant.
Not having a big belly, but exactly significant.
I do have.
Okay, Man, please.
Man, I'm sorry. I would like to say sorry that, like, you know, to talk about a war-torn area was completely absurd when I see you in, like, you know, in face right now that, okay, now we need to see the potentials on site, but sometimes with existing political conditions, sometimes even design, and we as individuals can't help, but we still have to wait. But still trying is hopeful.
Okay, we can make another discussion about this subject. But first of all, thanks for this presentation. It was really a presentation of illustration. My comment is we witnessed that some small initiatives can create significant impact for the neighborhood, and why not for the cities? Like Cellula Urbana in Rio, or Skateistan, or the music. Those are really good examples. It's good that they are talking about engaging communities, and they are directed towards youngsters, children and youngsters, which means building a cornerstone for the future of the neighborhoods and the future of the communities. So these are the sustainable social sustainability that you were talking about, is how we can engage the communities. I have a first question is this society engagement or community engagement post consultation and post design phases. The idea of those small initiatives projects came from whom?
Okay, for each project, I think it's different. For instance, for Skateistan, it came from, obviously, from the skaters and from the kids, because they were obviously doing it on ground in dust. From the music, for Peers project, they needed a central location. They said that they already had 4 different transformed basements in primary schools. They kept it, and then they built a center, and it was a center. Mostly it was a location where each and every teacher and the foundation can stay, and the kids can also go on without any time limitation, like, you know, go on working without any time limitation. For the Cellula Urbana, as far as, like, you know, from the information I received from the Bauhaus Dessau Foundation, from the project team, they wanted to have a central location. I mean, okay, so now in the video, we have heard that sometimes the community was not really that much welcoming, and they were always hesitant. But on the other hand, in the very beginning, during engagement activities of this, you know, neutral activities of festivities, they were engaged and actively taking part in the project. So making a center was helpful for all of them, just like, you know, for community building, for education. So I suppose that it was led with the mediation of the Bauhaus Dessau back then.
So it's not from the community itself.
It's like, I mean, that's my assumption, though. Then out of my research, I remember they were talking about the community was actually creating a plot because it was awful. I mean, the urban pattern was actually, the urban texture was not actually providing a free space for building such a building. But they themselves decide where to go in order to free the space to build up a cell. So that was quite powerful. So I suppose that they decided that, I mean, together. But
yeah, because they focus on a point that the cultural identity of the community was stronger after the establishment of the project. So kind of creating a reference point. My last comment, you started by the urban policy, and you mentioned that the urban policy is giving, and all what to do as technician is to follow. I'm not quite sure about. I don't join fully the idea. It's true that there are always top-down approaches, because sometimes you know that the planning is a mixed technical and political processes. So sometimes strategies came from the city itself, so it's not really from the community. Community are more engaged in what's happening in their neighborhood, the quality of life in their neighborhood, more on what's really strategically happening at the level of the city. However, as a consultation process, there is a consultation process at the level of the master plans, and there are consultation process at the level of the urban design plans. But there are really, let's say, sometimes it's only
information,
demonstration or information. But what you underline is engaging the community since the beginning, and it's a very successful initiatives process. And personally, I tested this several times, and really it appears to be very successful in terms of providing services from some neighborhoods, because as consultant, we don't know 100% what's happening in the neighborhood. So the people who live in this neighborhood reflect their real needs and or their future needs, or what is missing, what is lacking, and so on. So really, there's a top-down approach and there's a bottom-up approach at the same time. So
they need to meet at some point, though.
Yeah. I was going to tell that the idea is to really make a mixture of them, working from the strategic level, and at the same time working with the community and engaging the community since the beginning.
Actually,
and in fact, not really the community. All the actors of the you mentioned also the actors of the urban, let's call it urban society. All the actors should be engaged since the beginning of the process, because for having no surprise.
There is a very nice again Istanbul example, Hasanpaşa Gazhane. Actually, it's a gaswork. A former gaswork which is transformed into a cultural center right now, but the whole initiative started with the neighborhood initiative from a bottom-up approach. Actually, the whole transformation project started from the neighborhood. The preservation of the former gaswork and to preserve it for the community, for the cultural facilities, and for keeping it for free for everyone. I mean, keeping it for free was quite a decision. Huh? Like, most of the time,
Yeah, policy gives a general orientation.
Yeah.
But it's about us, the technicians, to create the form of the city, the livability of the city, the sustainability of the city is our job as technicians. But policy, you're right, it gives really very general orientation of the transformation of an economy or development of a sector of the city, something like that. But yeah, the quality of life at the level of the neighborhood, it's up to us, the planners and urban designers, to create.
Thank you, Man. Do we have any questions? So I hope that you will try to see the unseen and to use the potentials rather than try to define problems, okay? See the unseen. And I mean, so to wrap up, maybe I can say that, okay, we talked about the design strategies, but how to see the alternatives, how to see the unseen. So have to empathize, as Handan Hoca said, for instance, and have to construct with the potentials of the site or of the community. So obviously mindful actions are expected. Thanks a lot for this opportunity, and I would I look forward to discuss further and look forward to hear for the results as well.
You are always welcome, Demet Hocam. Thank you very much for supporting us, and thank you very, very much. Okay.
My pleasure.
Okay. So if you have any other comments and questions, maybe we can finish for today, and we can say, okay, see you on Monday with work, not just listening, but also working on topics. Murat Hocam, our dean, do you want to say something, maybe add something? I don't know.
Okay, thank you. I also would like to thank to Handan Temeltaş and Demet Mutman hocalarım for their inspiring presentations. Those presentations broadened our perspective. With this last presentation, actually, we have completed our preparations for the group studio work that we will start as of Monday. Basically, we will meet as groups in 3 basic sessions. For each meeting, we will follow the first 3 steps that we mentioned in design thinking methodology today in presentation: empathy, define, and ideate, develop ideas phases. We will be announcing each group participants on Monday, right, Elif Hocam?
Yes. The first 30 minutes is reserved for that, and announcing the topic again. But the documents are already shared, but we are going to repeat it.
Yeah, right. Although in those documents we have defined a certain schedule for online group work sessions, as we will actually keep the Microsoft Teams classes and Miro boards open. I lost connection, I think. Can you hear me?
We can again see you and hear you.
Okay, I was talking about our method to keep the Miro board and Microsoft Teams accessible throughout the schedule. We expect each participants, without being limited to the defined meeting days, to come together, chat and archive your ideas on the Miro boards. Our program participants also belongs to a different culture of the world. In our virtual studio gatherings, we will actually be the local representatives of the global citizen of the world. So we will start by asking some questions that will guide us in these gatherings. For those who are curious, you can get information, as Elif Hocam mentioned, from the document that we have shared with you. I hope we will have a pleasant and productive process, and we can create new friendships in these meetings. Thank you so much, and see you on Monday.
Thank you. See you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye. Have a great weekend ahead. Bye-bye.
Thanks for all. Bye.
Thank you.